Today, let's talk about things that we haven't shown on camera in a while. First, this is Axel. Second, as promised, we're going to talk about our SC Prime Xaminer. Nerdy dude stuff. I want to give a huge thank you to one of my subscribers, Big B, for sending me his month's beer drop. I unfortunately can't have one today while I'm recording because I'm going to work, but these beers were fantastic. I especially like the stout that came with it, and you guys know we love beer drop. So thank you very much. Again, I super appreciate it. Bink! What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video about SCP, Exanet miners, and all that good stuff. We haven't talked about them in a while, but boy, do we have some updates and some information today. We have almost been in the platform for over a year, and it's been one of my favorites. It's just tried and true, set it, forget it. It's in the baby stage, guys, and it's going to explode once we get all these renters purchasing data on this decentralized network. I'm so excited for the interview that we have for you today. If this is your first time here on the channel, please take a moment to consider subscribing, turning on the bell notification, and liking this video. This might be a long one, so we're going to jump right into an interview with Master HW Henry, one of the developers from SCP. You met him in Las Vegas when we were out there for NAB 2022, and he's got some updates and information for us today. Normally, and I state this in the interview, I'm always lurking with SCP. I'm always in the back ends to see what's going on, and I don't want to oversaturate content when there's not anything huge to report on, but we have some huge stuff to report on today. So without further ado, we're going to jump into the actual interview with Henry. We're going to let that play through, and then at the very end, I'm just going to reference the sites where you can get yourself either an Exanet miner, the website where you can do your own research with SCP. I've got a lot of old content about this. I was out at Vegas with them as I did a bunch of content when they're at NAB 2022, and I've just been talking about this platform for almost over a year, so I'm very, very excited, and I'll show those links at the very end. Try not to take up too much of your time after the interview, where you can get yourself one of their official miners, and then, of course, I always give a shout-out to my buddy, Juicy, who works and partners with them to make miners as well. So, without further ado, let's jump right into our interview with Henry. Ladies and gentlemen, the man, the myth, the legend. You know him in Discord as Master HW. We know him as Henry. We saw him in Vegas earlier this year. How are you, bud? It's good to see you again.
Doing pretty well, thank you.
So we haven't done a lot of SCP content on the channel just because, we've been getting our miners and everything going and waiting for you guys to have some really awesome news. But I hear that you guys have some announcements and some great stuff happening that you're just ready to start sharing. What do you got going?
Yeah, that's right. So we've been hard at work the last couple of months. I have lots that I could talk about, and if you let me, I probably would talk about on the renter side. But today we're here to discuss some of the changes to the network and storage providing mechanics that are happening. So probably the biggest headline item is the new SPFB that are being made. So because this is a new token that's launching on the network, it does require a hard fork. So we're expecting that to happen in the last week of December. If anybody has an Xaminer, you won't need to make any changes. If you have a DIY, you will just need to update your software, but we'll release that about in the second week of December. But the gist of it and what these SPFB are is that they work exactly the same as SPFA, which used to just be known as SPF. And SPF, by the way, it stands for SC Prime Fund. And these are a really cool type of token on our network. So not a lot of people know about them, but our network is actually kind of a dual token network. So we have the SCP that everybody knows of, and these are a utility token. It's meant to be used in smart contracts for storage. It's what you get paid in. It's what the renters need to buy in order to pay you. But what these SPF do, they earn kind of passively, they earn a cut or a fee that comes out of every storage contract. So this fee is paid by the renter, so it doesn't come out of host earnings or anything, which is an important detail to kind of clarify. But these SPF, sorry.
So no, perfectly. I've never truly talked about SPF on video or anything like that. I'm glad you brought that up, and it's kind of like because I have some. I was able to get some being the YouTuber and talk to you guys about the platform all the time. It's kind of like the initial investor founder kind of token thing to I mean, that's really just what I'm telling
Yeah.
for my listeners and stuff like that. Because I know there's a few people that are like, "What's SPF and how come I don't have any and how come I didn't get any?" It wasn't really available to the public in general, but it was kind of what
Yeah,
helped.
so it does represent very much kind of stake in the network, and in some senses, the the SPF that were created at launch anyway, um, like we can't just kind of give them out to everybody either, because there's some like regulatory challenges. Um, but yeah, they do represent stake in the network. So a lot of people who have them were like early project, either like founders or investors, or they are stakeholders in some other way. But usually the people who have them, and I do have some myself as well, they usually don't want to let go of them, which is also probably why they don't circulate too much. But they are really cool. And for the people who kind of get it and get that this network can be very large one day and have a huge amount of money flowing through it, then being able to get kind of a flat rate of all the revenue across the network, that's something that's really powerful. And you can do the math as you scale up and as the network scales up of, well, if there's this many petabytes stored, this is this many dollars in my wallet each month, which is pretty cool. So what these SPFB represent is a chance for storage providers to have access to that same kind of token. So the SPFB work otherwise essentially identical to the SPFA. The SPFA is just what we're calling the old SPFs. So they work very, very similar. The only difference, and this is kind of an important distinction, is that the SPFB will collect those fees and those revenues as long as it's tied to a storage contract. So this is a way that storage providers specifically can get access and benefit from these network dynamics. So it's also a way, and this is something that I think is the most compelling part. It's a way that storage providers who are used to earning revenue on their own storage, so you're going to continue to make that, but you can also earn revenue now across everybody's storage, which is really cool. And that's really a way that you can turbocharge your earnings and the potential there as well for if the network grows to very large sizes, that you could really make multiples on that.
So with the SPFB, in order to earn the revenue and the rewards and stuff, is there going to be a similar situation to where you have to put them up for collateral similar to SCP on your devices, or is it just these devices and our Xaminers or the JuseyMiners will have them naturally? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So the collateral that's being put up, that will continue to just be the SCP. So that is the utility token that's meant to go through storage contracts. And the SPFB will just sit on your device. It'll be in the wallet for your storage provider. That will be a requirement for them to collect their fee. But as long as it's in the address of your storage provider, then it will continue to just generate a claim over every block that's mined and every storage contract that's formed. A little sliver of that fee will go to you, and over the course of either months or however long you want, you can then claim the SCP that are owed to you and get hopefully a big payday.
Okay, and how do some of us, like me, the regular guy with an Xaminer, the 64 terabyte, and then also my JuseyMiners, how do I get my hands on the SPFB?
Yep, great question. So, so we are happy to announce that here at Xaminer, we are doing a big Black Friday and beyond sale. So from now to the end of the year, we are offering some pretty generous SPFB rebates on our Xaminers. So the 16 terabyte will get 6,500 SPFB, and the 64 terabyte model will get 10,000 SPFB. We've done a couple tweaks, and I think the 64 terabyte Xaminer is now a bit more affordable as well. So consider it if you haven't taken a look already, or if you're kind of on the fence. It's a really good way to get in with SPFB, and I think people who have been around our network for a little while, we know that generally when we introduce a new mechanic or a new kind of thing, usually it's good to be among the first people into it. We take care of our network and we take care of our family. So if you are Xaminer fam, then that's you. And if you already have an Xaminer, which I know a number of your viewers do, and we're very thankful for, if you still have rebates that are coming in that haven't quite been paid yet, there will be an option as well to convert your remaining SCP rebate to SPFB. So that's one of the I think that's one of the best ways for people to get in on SPFB right now.
I was going to ask that because I've now been I think I got my miner back in December, so we're coming up on a year with it, and I still, we had some issues with my motherboard and we switched it out, so I still have 2 rebates to come. And I was going to ask, but you answered it, can I either delegate SCP or SPFB, or like a combination of the two? But like you said, you just announced that I can select that. Will that be on the dashboard on our miners when it comes to rebate time, or will it be like a little box to click saying my next rebates I want an SPFB? Because I think I'm coming up on in the middle of December will be my 3rd rebate.
That's right. Yeah, so we haven't finalized it, but it'll probably be in the console, I'd imagine. But we'll release information, and it'll be pretty easy. I think that's kind of the underlying theme of the Xaminer, is that everything's pretty straightforward. It's not too hard to do whatever it is that you want to do on there. So it'll be like highlighted and bolded, and we'll make sure that it's made available to anyone that wants to know how to do that. But yeah, what you kind of touched on for people who are coming up on their 3rd and 4th rebate, what's also important to remind is that these are some of the biggest rebates. Mm-hmm. So the 3rd rebate is 30% of the total rebate, and the final rebate, the 12-month one, is 40% of the final rebate. So these will give you the biggest kicker in SPFB as well. So it's a pretty awesome way to get in on a network token that can really enhance your earnings, pay multiples across the entire population of the network and not just your own storage provider. And also, for those who have really followed and tracked closely with some of what we've been saying about SPF and the role that we want them to play in the future, the SPF of all types, both A and B, have a pretty central role in our planned move to Web3. So full Web3, meaning when eventually renters on our network will set up their own contracting and be able to fund their own SCP. So this is kind of getting into the weeds a bit, but we have a strong plan for an eventual kind of move to full Web 3.0. And when that happens, SPF will be very core to not just earnings and network revenue, but also things like staking and governance and these kinds of like full kind of DAO-like abilities. Mm-hmm. We're looking at SPF as that'll be the token that makes the most sense. Since it's kind of already a native token on our network, it's not the utility token, which is SCP. So I think SPF, no matter how you look at it, it's pretty compelling, and it's good to be an SPF owner.
Oh, absolutely. So just to clear up any confusion for any someone that's skimming through or listening, the way a platform currently works is you have your device, you host these contracts, you get rewarded in SCP. That's going to be one way to continue to earn as you're providing that decentralized data. But on top of that, you have these SPF tokens, and it's not replacing the current earning method with the utility token that's SCP, but it's going to be another cream of the crop when these renters and such purchase storage space. There's these transactions done, and these when you buy a ticket off a Ticketmaster, there's always like convenience fees and service fees and stuff. There's going to be a little SPF fee, investor founder fee, that gets shaved off to the side. Is that paid out in SCP or SPF?
That is paid out in SCP. Yeah. So if you look at the blockchain level at every storage contract that forms, you see a little sliver of that. Well, actually, it's not even that little of a sliver anymore. It's a decent amount, actually. Mm-hmm. That goes off, and it's paid by the renter. So once again, it doesn't come out of host earnings. It's paid by the renter, but this fee is then split across the SPF population.
Everyone that's got a piece of the pie.
Depending how much SPF you have,
right?
Some of that would go to you.
What is going to be the max circulating supply, or max supply of SPFB?
Yeah, so there's already to date 200 million SPF-A, which formerly just SPF. And we're kind of mirroring that with 200 million new SPFB. Okay. So in some senses, I suppose it's kind of a dilution, or the population's changing. So to help account for that, then the fee that the SPF get is changing from 10% to 15%. So that'll help account for some of that difference.
Okay. And will SPFB be able to be listed on exchanges and stuff, or is that just strictly you hold that piece of pie and you can trade it amongst yourselves?
Yeah, so to date, SPF have some of them have kind of changed hands on the OTC market or just kind of privately. Um, it hasn't made a lot of sense thus far anyway to kind of have an exchange listing.
Hmm.
But that's certainly something that if there were demand for it, I'm sure we'd see that one day. And I think it makes a lot of sense as a token to be traded. But that's not something that there's any immediate plans for. But I'd imagine probably not. It makes a lot of sense. I'll say
Yeah,
that.
I would make a case for SPFB. I wouldn't necessarily make a case for SPFA just because, that's like the founders, like the originals. I take pride holding mine because I want to consider myself one of the original YouTubers that started talking about SCP. So in a way, I kind of feel like a little bit like a tiny little pebble keystone of that foundation. So I don't ever want like my SPFA to be tradable. I want that to be exclusive, and not listed on an exchange versus, if another investor says, hey, I want to buy out your share, that's something we could look at on the back end. Not that I would sell it, but I do see it better for like the common person, the regular person that does want to be invested in the platform to have that opportunity to get some over the counter if they don't necessarily have a capacity to get a device, whether it be Exa, from Exanet services or like one of the juicy ones, but they could still participate and purchase those SPFB tokens and support that as well. So I'm a huge advocate for the B side of things.
Right. Yeah, and I think how you kind of illustrated it as shares in the network, I think that makes a lot of sense as a point and kind of anchoring that to something in the real world.
Mm-hmm.
And I am kind of reminded how Warren Buffett, he kind of famously, his whole investing approach is that he thinks that I think at the end of the day, the only real investments he thinks are sound are dividend shares and dividend stocks.
Absolutely.
And this is probably one of the closest analogies you could get in the kind of blockchain network space. So,
yeah, it's kind of like it's going public, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, and it's certain in layman's terms, not true, like truly in that sense, but it's like the experience, kind of, sorta.
Yeah, I think it represents a pretty cool thing, no matter how you look at it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
one thing that I did earlier in the call, I think we were talking about ways to get SPFB. So I discussed Xaminers a lot. For the people who have full licenses, by the way, and who also have like rebates coming to them, those will also be able to be converted to SPFB as well. And we're going to have, with the Black Friday and beyond sales, so sales through to the end of the year, for any full license upgrades, there will also be the option of SPFB rebates. So there's a lot of ways that you can get access to SPFB, like through basic to full license upgrade, through Xaminers, through like existing Xaminers or new Xaminers. There's a lot of options to get it. But yeah, I think right now it probably isn't going to be the case that it'll be openly traded on an exchange. But I think, 12 to 24 month view, I wouldn't be shocked if that were a thing.
Well, with it being an option to have your remaining cost of your miners and licenses being the rebate, is there an initial pegged price that you guys are setting the SPFB at to base off what that remaining rebate's going to be?
Yeah, that's a good question. So how we're approaching that is that we're defining, so we're kind of setting at, for a new 64 terabyte Xaminer, for example, so that is a 10,000 SPFB rebate. So what we're kind of approaching that is if you have an existing 64 terabyte Xaminer and you have, let's say, the final rebate installment remaining, so that's the big 40% one, then we'll give you 40% of what that 10,000 SPF rebate would be. So you would then get 4,000 SPFB, which is pretty awesome. So I suppose there is kind of an implicit value cost association kind of going on there, but that's not really how we're approaching it, and that's not how we think about it.
Right. I completely get that, and that's kind of the same that I'm thinking too. I want a slice of the pie. I don't care how much it's worth because, again, we're getting those dividend payouts, those fees, those other structures, but I know there's people in the crypto industry that they're all about the coin and the tokenomics and, like, the dollar cash value. So if we at least address them and let them know I'm thinking about them in spirit. Because that's really what a lot of these people do. When we were in Vegas, it was fun meeting a lot of the people that came out to see you guys and see, Nerdy Dude and everything. And you did have the people with the devices. You had people like Juicy creating and building his own stuff and working with you guys into the platform, which really, I think, is awesome that SCP has been open to that. And then you just have people that, are there to support and like the product, but didn't really jump in, and they, grab themselves some bags of stuff. So, and those are obviously the ones that are the moon boys, for lack of a better term. They want to take $100, turn it into $1 million. So I know I can't not move on without addressing them and saying, okay, if you are looking at this from the dollar value, there's potential opportunity there. But again, just go buy yourself a miner. That's probably better.
Yeah, and one thing that I've taken a lot of joy in with my time here, kind of working with SC Prime, is, I don't want to say like converting a lot of the moon boys, but one thing that I find really rewarding is helping people kind of understand that this isn't kind of a network or a token that like you invest in and you get your 10x and then move on to another one. For the people that really like spend the time understanding what it is that we're doing, and sometimes it feels like we're kind of grabbing them by the scruff of their shirt and making sure that they kind of get it. That's how it feels at times, but that this really is a network that I think if you dig into it and give us the chance to explain to you what our vision is, how it fits in with both existing marketplaces and existing markets, like cloud storage. I mean, that's one of the most valuable markets in the world and in tech right now. So how it fits in with the existing market, and how it not only has a plan of evolving to future ones, but how it's going to help drive that and make that a thing.
Oh, absolutely.
And how everything that we're doing today makes total sense in that lens. And I think once that kind of clicks, and once you see the vision and how it makes a lot of sense and all these things play together nicely, then I think you'd be kind of kicking yourself if you were short-sighted on any of this.
Oh, absolutely. And we got to experience NAB 2022 firsthand, and it wasn't just some tiny little data convention that I was kind of expecting out in Las Vegas. I mean, just the sheer amount of money that these vendors and these booths and these people put in, like, when we looked at the Sony booth and all this stuff in regards to data, and the fact that Exanet Services and SCP is ahead of the game. Like I'm a huge advocate and supporter for the decentralization cloud storage aspect. That's really what attracts me. And of course the passive income plug and play miner at home. But just, we are on the precipice of this huge move based off of data. And it was really, really, really prevalent to see the Las Vegas Convention Center. So the money's there. This isn't like a little thing like where we go to like MegaCon down here in Florida, which has one convention center, small hall. Like NAB 2022, it was like 100 times the size of MegaCon, or like we have like AFO and MetroCon and all these little things for, the geek culture, the nerd culture, the anime culture, the video game culture. But then you look at NAB and it's monstrous with the money that's there. So I've enjoyed SCP. I've enjoyed Exanet Services. I heard about the SPFB and the ability for like the regular common man to get their hands into this. Faust came to me and I was like, absolutely. It's time to do another video.
Yeah, no, I'm glad that you highlighted all that, because I think that's very much how we see it as well. So one of the most important kind of realizations that we've had, or things that we've had validated on our end over the last couple months, is that we're not just a good decentralized cloud storage or whatever, because in some regards, some people kind of see that as I'm the smartest kid on the short bus. Mm-hmm. So we're not just that. We've run like testing and validation at this point on our own network, and now other people are doing the same. So we have some like partners and stakeholders that are running all these same things and coming to a lot of the same conclusions, that we're not just the fastest, most performant, and best of the distributed or decentralized clouds. We are just a very good cloud, no matter how you look at it. Mm-hmm. We're really fast. The kind of like uptimes and availabilities that we can get because of the way that our architecture and our model works can just blow away any other traditional cloud. Like, we're not just the best of the distributed storage clouds, which has some associations with it. We are just a very good cloud. And I think that when that kind of clicks and you see that the data backs up everything that we're saying, like, how can you not be excited?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no. And it's great too, because like, we love the crypto side of things and we love the crypto aspect. And I think that's a lot of issues that other like, you know, Filecoin and all that stuff that came out with was trying to really emphasize on the crypto. Like when we were at NAB, I was noticing that, you know, it just little teeny tiny print. It was like cryptocurrency, and that caught the eye of a couple of people. But there was more of that drive into the data and wanting to get that decentralized cloud out there versus, you know, where I pedal. And the reason why I haven't done a lot of videos in the past couple of months is because you guys are developing so much on the back end, and the last thing you need is a bunch of the crypto miners and plug and play guys coming into your servers and bogging things down on when's the price and when's move without these major updates like you're forking and creating a new token. That's right up the alley where I want to drive the attention back and get the new people in to see this. So you guys have done this really fine line of going, yeah, we're tying in cryptocurrency. Like you have the SCP utility token on how you're going to utilize the platform, but that's not our main hook. And that's such a slippery slope to walk where you do try to rely on cryptocurrency as the main draw, and then things happen in the crypto space and crash the market. You guys have the fallback on that was just what we were kind of touching base on. It's really the cloud data that is the product, is you know, is the end goal. With like the data is the cake. The crypto is the icing. You can't have a good cake if it's just icing. So
yeah, and it has been kind of interesting. So obviously, working in the industry, you come across a lot of people, some from kind of traditional finance or investment backgrounds, and to them, crypto isn't always a very good association. So sometimes you kind of more want to shy away from kind of leading with that. So I think you do recall that, yeah, at NAB, with our booth, the emphasis was more on like distributed cloud storage, and then we did throw in a couple words kind of around blockchain and crypto, and that did catch the eye of some people, but to someone else that might have made them not as interested. So it's an interesting kind of dance you have to do. But I think we are increasingly finding that there are a lot of people that, even in the traditional investment space, that are looking for projects like ours that are finding compelling uses that make a lot of sense to apply something like a blockchain and a utility token. And we're generally getting a warm reception from them. So over the last couple of months, we have been doing some pitch calls, actually like a couple of weeks. So we've been getting a good amount of interest with people like VCs and different firms. And the kind of underlying, or the somewhat of a recurring theme lately has been that they're very interested, but they want to see what's happening with the crypto market right now. So obviously, I know you did a video recently on the FTX situation. So we're all kind of up to date on that, but it's frustrating for everyone else who kind of works in the industry and is actually trying to do something real. Because when some silliness happens with FTX or some other major thing like Luna earlier in the year, it kind of drags the whole market down with them.
100%.
Even for the people who are trying to do something real. So it can be kind of a blessing and a curse, I suppose, but it's certainly interesting. And I think no matter what way you kind of cut it, the kind of networks and the people who are working on real products that serve real purposes and people would pay money for, that are able to use utility tokens and blockchains in the back end, I think that that's really going to be the future.
Yeah, and not that anyone at Exanet Services or SCP, you know, has told me any secrets or anything like that. So I don't want to, like, you know, be a bus driver on anyone on your side. But there is someone that I know that's not affiliated with you guys that let me in on a little bit of information, and I'm excited to see how that develops, to see if that really takes off. So I just want to tease that out there for some of the viewers that there potentially something out there, and it's not like insider trading or anything like that, because again, I don't really talk to you guys outside of, hey, I did a video, here you go, you know. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
Anything else that...
Yeah, and I think you don't have to plumb that far to find good information from us, because we talk pretty openly in all of our storage provider meetups about how things are going and kind of what we're working on, what you can expect. We're pretty open about a lot of the stuff that we do, and I think that that's something that has been the case from the start, and that kind of goes into how our network formed in the first place, of kind of like-minded people that were all came to a similar conclusion around the same time on how a network like this could exist and could work. So I think, yeah, that our network from the very start has been kind of rooted in community and transparency and openness. So I think that those are values that we try to maintain. And
yeah,
for the people that are in our community and are listening to a lot of the updates that we're giving and the resources that we're putting out, there's a lot of good information. And yeah, but obviously as well, if you know some of the people, or you're chatting to some people that are working on stuff on top of our network, they might, sure enough, they might be able to tell you some stuff that is pretty exciting that we aren't talking about yet.
Exactly, and that's the only tease I'm going to say. But I love the community. I absolutely love you guys. I had so much fun in Vegas. You know, I hope we do another tech show and you guys need a YouTuber. So
yeah, I'd be happy to.
Is there anything else? Anything else that you want to touch on before we close out, or?
I think we covered pretty much everything that we wanted to kind of touch on today. So I will say that we do have kind of upcoming, we have SCP University, which is a new exciting program for people who are interested in learning more about our network and how it works, and kind of getting a bit of a boot camp kind of rundown of exactly what our network is, how it came to be, why it's compelling. Because like I said, there is when everything kind of clicks and you see how everything that we're doing fits together, it is an awesome moment. And that's one of the most rewarding parts of, I find, of doing what I'm doing, is when I can see it in people's eyes that they kind of have that aha moment. That's awesome. So SCP University, keep tuned for that in our announcement channel in Discord. And yeah, keep tuning into our bi-weekly now storage provider meetups. We're always really informational, and probably one of the best ways, if you can spare an hour or two a week, one of the best ways to keep up with what we're doing.
Well, so if you guys need any voiceovers for your university, you know where to find me.
Yeah. So thank you for talking to me today and giving me a platform to update everybody on what we're up to. Yeah, pretty excited to be able to talk about all this stuff.
Absolutely. It's always my pleasure. You know, again, one of my favorite platforms, so I'm happy to do this. You know, I want to thank you for your time, and I know my schedule is usually pretty hectic now to get content out, since I, you know, have a real 9 to 5 kind of style job. So thank you for working around that and doing it. It's like, it was earlier in the morning before my shift, so I really appreciate it, and I know that my audience will appreciate it as well. With all that said, I don't want to take up too much more of your time, so I want to wrap this video up. I'm not going to do my regular outro, but just to point out the websites, links for these will be in the description. You can go to scpry.me to kind of get a little bit like familiar with the actual project, the team, all that stuff. That's the base website where you can do your own research. Then these are the devices they've got currently, and you heard that the changes are going to be coming, especially with the Black Friday sale. But before Black Friday, these are the device 16 terabyte and 64 terabyte, as well as the licenses. And you might be sitting there saying, why do I need a license for? Because if you buy a do-it-yourself device, especially from our buddy Juicy, you can actually turn these into an official Xaminer by purchasing the license, so you can get those benefits as well. Oh man, his little ones are sold out, the little 2 terabytes, but he's got some more on there. There's also codes to save money on these devices in the description of this video. So with all that said, thank you very much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, turn on the bell notification, all that good stuff. Reach out to me on Telegram, Twitter, or Discord. Stuff for that is in the description of this video. I'm Oprius, and we'll see you guys next time.